The summary of my comments on this report would be, to use the phrase, very much to cure its egg, good in parts. And of course, we have to recognise that our potential action is now far more constrained than it was at the time of last year's annual report. However, there is still much more that can be done. And as we now see global temperature records broken regularly, it's clear we must act more urgently than we are, whether we apply that comment to the Council, the country, or indeed the world. The development of the core team is welcome and now in place, and it's vital that we support them and help them deliver more. We must work through all our practices to ensure not just that we do all that we can, but that we can do everything we can to help our residents do what they can. Let me give you an example. A resident of my ward living in a City Council-owned home has single-glazed UPVC windows and wants to replace them with double glazing. You might think that the Council would encourage this, subject to safeguards to ensure the work is done to acceptable standards. As by the resident paying for this, it helps the progress to net zero and saves future spend on maintaining the home. However, instead, before paying for the work themselves, the resident will have to pay a £200 legal services fee and potentially a £75 surveyor's fee. Now, that might be reasonable for some work, but not for work that directly improves energy efficiency. It's good to hear that we've scored an A on the carbon disclosure project. However, a word of realism. The carbon disclosure project's assessments is largely about reports, plans and assessments rather than actual improvements. And as we now know, Birmingham is notoriously good at plans and strategies and poor at delivery. And in this area, as many others, we desperately need more delivery. In particular, we should be doing more about rooftop solar. The advantage of rooftop solar is that by generating electricity in the same building where it is used, normal significant transmission costs are avoided. And by reducing demand on the grid, we give it breathing space as it reconfigures to work with an increasingly green electric future. And the kicker is that with the current costs of electricity, solar PV is a cost-saving initiative in virtually all cases, especially when combined with battery storage, so that the electricity generated can be used when the grid is under most pressure. We really must be doing more on this. I finally wanted to comment on adaptation. It's disappointing to note that in the following report from the West Midlands Fire and Rescue Service, there is no mention of any work that they are doing on carbon reduction or encouraging adaptation, despite the fact that they are on the sharp end of increased climate variability and, as they acknowledge, increased numbers of outdoor fires and much more regular flooding, as we've seen so recently. Both these issues can be mitigated by adaptation measures, such as sustainable urban drainage measures and planting more drought-resistant species. And we should be encouraging that to be happening and reporting on that by our partners. So, I welcome the report, but we need to do more and we need to act faster. Thank you, Lord Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Julian Pritchard.